I sat in the sterile counseling office, the beige walls closing in. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and old paper, a scent I'd come to associate with frustration and stalled progress. It felt like months of sessions had led to this, another dead end. Dr. Albright's words swam before my eyes, another suggestion I couldn't seem to implement. Mindfulness exercises, cognitive restructuring, they all felt hollow, inadequate against the crushing weight of everything. Everything felt impossibly heavy. A leaden cloak draped over my shoulders, pressing down on me with relentless force. My relationship strained, a constant undercurrent of tension humming between me and Sarah, my wife. Even simple conversations felt fraught with unspoken resentments. My work was a constant struggle, deadlines loomed like insurmountable obstacles, each task requiring an effort that left me depleted. The reports I usually completed with ease now seemed to blur on the page. A wave of despair crashed over me, cold and suffocating. It stole my breath, leaving me gasping for air in a room that felt increasingly small. The urge to simply stop trying was almost overwhelming. To surrender to the inertia, to let go of the fight. It would be easier to just give up, to fade away into nothingness. The silence stretched, thick and oppressive. I could hear the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner, each tick a stark reminder of time slipping away, opportunities lost. I closed my eyes, pressing my fingertips against my temples, trying to block out the swirling thoughts. And without thinking, almost instinctively, I whispered a prayer. Not an elaborate plea for divine intervention, not a desperate bargaining with some higher power, but a simple acknowledgement, a quiet request for strength. It wasn't about asking for a magic fix, a sudden and miraculous cure. It was about finding a still point in the chaos, a moment of respite amidst the storm. The words felt fragile, barely audible even to my own ears. Please, just help me carry this. A tremor ran through me, not of fear, but of something akin to hope, tentative and uncertain, yet undeniably present. My focus shifted to integrity. To doing what felt right, even when it was difficult, even when every fiber of my being screamed at me to take the easy way out. It felt like trusting something bigger than myself to carry the parts one couldn't manage, the anxieties that gnawed at my insides, the frustrations that simmered beneath the surface, the overwhelming sense of responsibility for everyone around me. A memory surfaced, my grandmother's gentle reminder, her voice soft and soothing as she held my hand. She had been talking about a family disagreement years ago, but her words resonated with universal truth. Forgiveness isn't a feeling, dear, she'd said, her eyes filled with wisdom. It's a choice. A conscious decision to release bitterness and move forward. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I could almost feel the warmth of her hand in mine again. The image faded, leaving behind a lingering sense of peace. It wasn't a complete resolution, but it was a start. The therapist paused, sensing my shift. Her gaze was gentle, non-judgmental. How are you feeling now? She asked softly, her voice a calming balm against the turmoil within me. Lighter, I admitted, surprised by the honesty of the word. Not cured, not suddenly happy and carefree, but lighter. The weight hadn't vanished entirely, it was still there, a palpable presence in my chest. But it felt manageable, distributed across a broader foundation of hope and grace. It was the first time in weeks I'd felt that flicker of genuine peace, a tiny spark refusing to be extinguished. The room seemed less oppressive now, the beige walls no longer closing in. The ticking clock still sounded, but its rhythm felt less insistent, more like a steady heartbeat. I took a deep breath, feeling the air fill my lungs with a renewed sense of purpose. The session continued, this time with renewed purpose. We talked about practical strategies for managing stress, for communicating more effectively with Sarah, for setting realistic goals at work. I listened intently, absorbing her advice with a clarity that hadn't been present before. I still had work to do, challenges ahead. There would be setbacks and moments of doubt, times when the weight threatened to crush me again. But now, there was a quiet certainty, a knowledge that even when I stumbled, I wasn't truly alone. The prayer hadn't solved everything instantly, it hadn't magically erased my problems. but it opened a space for resilience and trust, a small window of opportunity through which hope could shine. It reminded me that perseverance isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about facing it with an open heart, with courage and compassion, for myself and for others. It was about acknowledging the weight, but refusing to let it define me. The ripple of that small act of faith, that moment of quiet connection, extended far beyond the counseling room that day. It touched my interactions with Sarah, softening her defenses and allowing a tentative bridge to form between us. It fueled my efforts at work, enabling me to tackle challenges with renewed focus and determination. And most importantly, it instilled within me a sense of inner peace, a quiet knowing that even in the darkest of times, I had the strength to carry on.